To me, my X-Men.
That was
Hello,
awesome.
everyone. Welcome. That was a fan edit by Duck Chicken Penguin on YouTube. Go check out their stuff. I just wanted something, but I didn't have an actual intro ready, so I was like, all right, it's got to be X-Men. I didn't want to play just the intro from the show because of copyright stuff, but I wanted to set the mood. So, as you may or may not be able to tell, we did a hard pivot this week. We had a topic in mind, and then we're like, well, we could talk about something that people may like, or we can talk about something that I'm pretty sure everyone enjoyed. So on today's show, we're going to be talking about the premiere episodes of X-Men 97. We will be going into spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episodes, first of all, take an hour out of your day to do it. It's just an hour. Yeah, because Jesus, it's really, really, really fun. So before we start, I wanted to ask, and we can go around, and I want to start with Josh. So you mentioned you had never seen the original show, like none of that, like never got around to it?
No, I mean, maybe in passing, like I'd catch a few minutes of an episode before Freakazoid came on or something. But I think I've said on the show before, I was not a fan of the 90s Marvel animation era. I tried watching the Spider-Man show. I think I attempted one Iron Man episode, and it just, I always describe them as kind of like breathless pacing. There were never any pauses. It just, the episode began, people talked, and things happened without anyone taking a breath for like 22 minutes.
It doesn't make a lot of sense because children are notoriously patient.
Fair. And also 97 when this ended, right? It's dated for
92 to 97,
yeah. I graduated college, so I'm clearly not the target market for the original animated shows, but I am a big fan of all these properties, so I would have watched it regardless. I never really dug them. But that said, I love these two episodes, and I'm glad I didn't need to go rewatch the original to jump in. So
nice. Jeff, were you also too cool in 97 to watch this?
I definitely watched the first. There's 3 seasons of the first show, right? There's 3 seasons altogether.
Maybe. Yeah, I think so. It's long. I don't know. It's a lot of episodes.
I'll IMDb it.
Yeah, I think I watched the first 2 seasons, and then the 3rd season. I think they definitely went to a different animation studio, and then by that point, I was also a little too cool I'd kind of dumped out. I think I was definitely in college by 97. So. Are there 5 seasons altogether?
There were 5 seasons, yeah.
That makes sense, because
so I probably watched the first 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah, it was 92 to 97. And again, that is exactly my college years. So
that's the end of my college years.
Yeah, I mean, I say exactly. It was like 93 to 97. So.
Damn, I'm pretty sure I was in middle school.
You see all the gray in my beard, Danny? Yeah, Clay's got it.
Josh, I didn't watch any of the other Marvels. Like, I never watched that Spider-Man or that.
What? Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends?
No, that I watched.
No, the 90s
Spider-Man. The 90s Spider-Man.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one either.
Yeah, I caught one episode of it. It was on fairly recently. I mean, I was in this house, and I don't know why it was on. And it was like the 2nd or 3rd episode of a weird Spider-Man focused retelling of Secret Wars. It was weird. It was he had like 8 arms. I don't know. It was very bizarre.
As opposed to the comics that are very straightforward.
Yeah, all right, true. But instead of multiple arms, he just has a symbiote alien covering his bare skin. So yeah, but the Iron Man one, oh god, just awful. Yeah, but again, to their credit, and this is based on very limited knowledge, I think every one of those shows attempted to retell canonical stories from the comics, right? So, hang on, Clay.
They won't do Demon in a Bottle, which is
okay, sure.
one of the best Iron Man stories. They did a lot of Mandarin, which was very
Even then, it was kind of cringy and not handled well. So.
I mean, even now they still don't know how to handle the Mandarin really well. So it's like, they just kind of need to do away with him. And you also get the 90s Iron Man red and silver suit, which is probably one of my least favorite suits of all time.
Really? See, I do like that suit, but again, this just goes to the fact that the one period I read Iron Man comics was that period. So I just have this affinity for it, but
gotcha. All right, well, I got to check in with Clay. Clay, were you also too cool in the 90s to watch the cartoon?
I was up and watching every Saturday morning. I was the giant kid. I loved it. I remember just because like the things that came out during college was like, for me, was Batman the Animated Series. I remember watching that, in my apartment. My other roommate's like, why are you watching cartoons? I'm like, but this Batman is really good. Like, it's really fucking good. And the episode that happened to be on is the Mr. Frost. Episode.
Yeah.
So, so like when this came out, it started like probably the end of my college and went into like the next few years, but I would wake up every Saturday morning and watch.
Very cool. Very cool. I mean,
the only thing I was bummed about is we didn't have Nightcrawler, but he does show up in a bunch of episodes. So that was what was always made me happy. And then I went back and rewatched the Nightcrawler episode that he starts in. And it's weird because like he is like in a church and he is trying to do good, but he is wearing his costume pretty much from the beginning to the end. Like he's never wearing like robes or any other clothes that he would ever wear in public. It's always the costume.
Nice.
Had you seen the Pride of the X-Men by that point?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I was so hyped because that had Nightcrawler in it, and I was just like, that's the show I want.
Right.
And then it just didn't happen. And so I was like,
Well, and so that's also, I guess, a question I have for you guys is, I know that the team in the original animated series is basically the Jim Lee team, right? But why not have characters like Kitty Pryde is such a fan favorite character? Like, why is she not in this show? I mean, were they like, well, we got Jubilee, we can't have another young female character,
That's really what it was exactly, like that. There are too many women on this show already.
just like in this premiere episode, imagine. I mean, because like you could see if Sunspot joined with Jubilee, where that storyline would go.
Yeah,
just shenanigans and maybe some young love storyline.
I completely ship Sunspot and Jubilee. Just like let me make that clear.
And I do want to give props. Well, actually, sorry, Danny. So tell us your history with X-Men 97.
From the years 1992 to 97, I was 6 through 11.
So you were
cartoon age.
Yeah, I was gonna say you are the target audience for this show when it aired.
So I hadn't moved over here yet, so I actually caught a lot of this on the reruns. But definitely, I mean, I remember watching. I think I used to watch a lot of this in Spanish too. I think they had them, but yeah, it was. I mean, this and Spider-Man, boy, like those were it. This is like. Yeah, I would just get up and watch those. I love them. And, once I figured out there were stories from the comics, I was like, oh, cool. This is like, these are some of the best adaptations of the stories of the comics.
And better than film. let's
Yeah,
go
oh.
ahead and say it that
Yeah.
they adapted the Dark Knight or the Dark Phoenix saga better than the film has twice. Written by the same guy
Yeah.
twice.
Well, I mean, that
Oh,
movie-
really? I didn't know that. Claremont wrote those episodes?
No. Simon Kinberg
The
wrote
movies-
the
the
movies.
movies
X-Men
Oh, in the movies. Gotcha. Okay.
and that Dark Phoenix turd that
I
we
was-
got at
I
the
was-
last.
I was watching a video like with all the like Easter eggs and all the stuff, the breakdown for these 2 episodes right before this, and I started thinking like, man, comics like the true adaptation of a comic should just really be animation. Like it doesn't make sense. I as much as I love the live action stuff, you gotta
I'm going to say the DC animated adaptations often do not need to exist. I mean, how often are the unique DC animated movies they make way better than the adaptations?
I don't know. I don't know if
I mean, that's
I don't know if I completely agree with that. I think there's some really good like Red Hood is a really good adaptation of that story.
okay.
Um
That's what I haven't seen.
I think the Dark Knight Part 1 and 2 really work as well. Like the
Read the
or-
comics.
No, I
Like,
mean, well, from a point where I have read the comic,
yeah, okay.
yeah, like you know, like obviously Killing Joke, trash. Although I will say, if you just watch the part that is the comic, it's
Yeah.
fine. It's all the crap they added before. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Batman.
But
We're
but
always here to talk about Batman.
yeah, true. But I will say this though. It always felt like, and again, I haven't seen. So if you guys could recommend like these specific original X-Men episodes that retell, like say the Dark Phoenix saga, I will go rewatch them because there you go. Because my thing is, can I just borrow your DVD, Clay?
Yes.
My thing is, at least with these, it felt like they weren't just doing a straight adaptation. They were wrapping it into a bigger, ongoing story in the series. And I think for me, that's the key difference, right? When DC does these adaptations, they're just basically, there is no unifying thread between their films.
Right.
They're just redoing it. But when X-Men the animated series tells the story, they're doing it in the same way it happened in the comics, which is you've already seen these characters develop over time, and now we're going to retell this story.
Well, counterpoint, the Justice League animated series.
Oh,
Is
very
doing
good.
Oh,
exactly
yeah.
what
Okay.
Very
Even
good.
the
That's a
difference-
great example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even the films have a kind of a through line after a certain period. They actually
Yeah.
started having to do a through line. So
Yeah, no, that's true. I totally agree.
I'm here to shut down Josh on any opinion about DC that I don't like.
Well, I will still stand by my DC animated standalone shit. So,
I will say, like the DC Showcase are great to see because those are characters you never see anywhere. Jonah Hex, Green Arrow, who else?
Dr.
is in there?
Fate.
The Spectre,
Spectre.
Oh,
yeah.
Spectre, yeah. But they did do Dr. Fate too, right?
yeah,
Did they do a Dr. Fate?
I
Yeah,
think so.
I think so.
Black Adam has one. Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right. Now that we got everybody's kind of history, let's talk about these 2 episodes that were incredible. I think just what a way to kick it off. First of all,
Krakoan
update-
era what?
yeah. Well, hold on a second. There was a little reference to our friend Goldballs.
Yeah, there was a Gold Balls
which is
reference.
nice. So like Goldball Krakoan era coming season 2, season 3.
That would be batshit.
That would be that
I mean,
shit.
If they went like a full season deep dive into Hickman era, I'm in. I got to see how they
I mean,
pull it off.
Back then they were doing stuff in 92 that had just come out like maybe 5-6 years earlier, right? Like at most.
Yeah, that
Well-
series began with a lot of the early Jim Lee stuff that it was
Yeah.
only a couple of years old by that point.
Yeah.
The thing I started to talk to Shelby about was like this ended in 97. So we got the really great X-Men stories, Days of Future Past, actually done better than the movie Dark Phoenix saga. And so now we've got like 25 years of comics to do. What are the great stories we've got in the last 25 years? And I want to say E for Extinction has got to be up there. And I'd love to see an animated Quentin Quire.
Mhm.
What if they did? Is it House of M where Scarlet Witch removes all the powers?
Yeah.
Oh, you got to pull in a lot of Avengers, and maybe that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Cap appear in the original?
Yeah, he did.
And I just want to give credit again. I have very little experience with the original show, but the way that they both, with the animation style, are able to mimic the look of the original show and characters, but update it for modern animation, I thought was fantastic. And Marvel Animation has been kind of killing it. I mean, What If is amazing. This is amazing. And there were a couple of moments in the second episode that felt very Flash animation-y to me, like as I'm watching it. It's mainly when Magneto uses powers.
Yeah.
But overall, it's a solid update, and if I put my artist hat on, that is a difficult thing to do, right? To split that difference successfully, and I really feel like they did it well. So
yeah, though there was one point though that I did go, I don't think that's Beast's original voice. It sounded very different from the original series, but it's the same actor, and I'm like. 25 years has probably done something to his voice, but it's like it sounded just a little off, but everyone else sounded the same.
How many of the original voice cast came back?
I believe it's Beast, Wolverine, Storm. Storm was replaced in the 90s, but it is the second Storm.
Okay.
Rogue is the same, and I think everyone else, I believe it's everyone else I believe is new.
Okay.
So it's kind of half and half.
Okay. I was just curious because I'm not a fan of Wolverine's voice in this. It feels very weird. I don't know. I mean, again, it's not an Australian accent, so we got that at least. But
I was gonna say it's not Australian enough.
I mean, what if they just had Hugh Jackman come in and do it in his regular voice?
True. Yeah, and sing. But again, Danny, you've never seen Pride of the X-Men, right?
I mean, the pilot or whatever, the whole thing. I think I saw like an episode. I saw the pilot.
That's all it is.
Okay, yeah, then I've seen it.
Yeah. Anyway, I was just curious because that's where he has an Australian accent. It's very weird. What a weird decision to make. But anyway, yeah, I thought his voice was a little odd. But again, I didn't watch the original, so I didn't know if that was the original voice actor, and it is.
Maybe it was predicting the future that Hugh Jackman would play Wolverine one day.
Could be.
Maybe that's what inspired Wolverine to become an actor. I mean, Hugh Jackman to become an actor.
I'm gonna be Wolverine. I'm gonna be Wolverine one day, crikey.
Mommy, I'd like to be that character someday, mate.
Mate.
That's how you do an Australian accent. You just throw mate and crikey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of all you have to do. And then
I can only do it if I do it as Captain Boomerang.
Oh, see, I was gonna say I can only do it if I go, that's not a knife. This is a knife.
Jeff, what did you think? What do you think so far, like with these two episodes?
Oh, I loved them. Everything that the internet is going crazy about, I am too. It's way too woke. It's terrible. I love.
We need
that
a sarcasm button. We need a sarcasm.
Yeah, right. Like an ooga in the background.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a different podcast. Sorry. I've been a closeted Cyclops fan for a long time, like early Cyclops, and he gets a lot of hate. He's gotten a lot of hate throughout the years. I've never once ever seen him use his optic blasters to move himself around, which I thought was the coolest thing ever.
That was amazing. That was so awesome.
This is the best Cyclops ever.
I almost felt like I could feel it, like in that fight scene as he's blasting people, and you realize you feel that. I don't know if they added sound effects, but that concussion when it hit.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so great. Yeah.
It's 100% the first time I've ever seen, because I mean, yeah, where it looks like a concussive blast. It's not lasers, it's not heat, it's just supposed to be a concussive blast, whatever that means, because comics. But yeah, him moving himself around with it, him stopping his fall with his concussive blast kind of thing. Awesome. And then the storm turning the sand into glass and then creating a tornado thing. I'm just like, this
Give
is the
him the
storm we've been wanting to
forecast.
see forever. Like,
Oh,
and just like the announcement of like an Omega level threat, right? And then she walks in.
yeah.
And can we give props to the fact I love Storm's punk look? I've always been a fan of it, and I'm glad they finally brought it in. Right? Yeah. Oh, it's so great.
now just to get that timeline straight, because I remember a little bit. So in the comics, she gets the mohawk after she loses her powers, right? Like Wolverine gives her a haircut, I think.
I believe so, and it's like the mid to late '80s is that kind of punk era. But it's also when she's leader of the team.
Yeah, so she goes and battles Callisto for the right to lead the underground mutants, the Morlocks, and that's when she changes her hair. It's like in the Paul Smith era, and then we kind of go into the 180s, and like that was my first X-Men comic was 181 when she has the mohawk, and Kitty's new to the team, and she's like freaked out by Storm, and this is what was wild is like as a kid I read this, and it's just a conversation between two women about how she can change and she's still the same person inside, and I was like, this is a wild comic. Like there's no action, like what's happening? And I'm like, why did she get this mohawk? Then I'd like want to research everything about it. But yeah, they're pulling from that era. We're getting X-Men life, death, love story with Storm losing her powers. Hopefully that, I mean, and that's all Barry Windsor Smith art. So I discovered his art during that run. And so that was like incredible for me. And if you ever go back and look at those stories, what I really hope for is that we do get to see Forge's apartment in Dallas, because the drawing of that apartment is amazing. It's like really one of those comics you want to go and look up just for the art. But it's a beautiful story about like Storm coming to terms without having her power, being an Omega level threat, being a goddess in her homeland, to just being a normal human, and then accepting her lover is the one that built the gun.
Those lines she had, like that, I can't feel the breeze, I can't feel the moisture around, like, and then when she gets startled by the lightning later on at the mansion.
Wow,
so good, so well done. Like
this is going to be probably the best Storm storyline in all of X-Men, because they never used Halle Berry for a story. And the only other time they used Storm was as a disciple of Apocalypse in that shitstorm.
I like that Storm is like, she is the person that has the worst line in like all of X-Men, which is like, what happens to a toad when they get struck by lightning? And then she also gets the most badass moment where it's like an Omega level mutant detected kind of moment. I was just like, it's the spectrum of Storm. I do, and the other thing I really enjoy about this comic, which we've kind of touched on, is that they are going full on soap opera X-Men with it. Like you are getting the full, I mean, it's not just superheroics, you're getting all the emotion, all the little love triangles, all the everything. You are getting everything with this cartoon. So
if that was live action, I think it would feel kind of silly. But because it's animated and it's got a different tone to it, and it's the 90s designs, like it just really, really works. And that's kind of what was getting me to that headspace of like, animation is where like how you truly bring comic books to life, because you're just taking the animated art you already have.
Okay, but we do need to talk about Magneto. That costume and that hair and that look is comic accurate, but I feel like it is kind of RuPaul's Drag Race looking.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. This is where I was trying, like the bare
shoulders.
Yeah, and then the polo sleeves. I was just like, please tell me he's going to like an amazing like drag performance after this, or like a ball gown. Like this is the Magneto I want to see. You know.
I mean, his normal outfit is not that, like, it's still pretty extra. The normal outfit still if you remove the helmet, there's a reason why they didn't use any of those looks in the live action stuff, until like that one scene at the end of that one movie.
Yeah,
like,
when
the
you
first
put
class.
the helmet on.
But I will point out the funniest thing is that if you look at like all the mutants and all the costumes that they've had, by Magneto having a giant M on his chest,
I love it.
does make him look like the worst villain, because I go, what villains put their name on everything? And I'm
Right,
X-Men
right.
literally wear X's
What?
all over themselves, though.
True.
I need him to have a line like Henry Cavill did in Man of Steel. The M is for mutant.
I saw a Twitter about that. The M stands for hope or something.
Oh, that's great.
My roommates when we watched the this cartoon, he was like, all he saw was the crushed velvet. Like Magneto's costume looked like crushed velvet, and now I can't unsee that. Every time I see him, I was just like, yeah. But that's a real cool costume. Yeah,
I love it.
real snug.
I think that look. It's comic accurate, which is insane already. I love that part, and I don't think I've ever read the Trial of Magneto comic. I think it's X-Men 200, right?
200.
Yeah. So I'll probably check it out. I think I'm gonna check out any story, and we should probably do that to recap at the end of the season.
That's a good idea.
Kind of read some of those stories because knowing Claremont, those are probably like 2-issue stories that he just crammed like 10,000 things in there.
But you got to read the 40 issues around them to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't write for the trade. He wrote for the omnibus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, isn't Love and Death is only 2 issues, right?
Only 2 issues, but they do do a sequel to it later. But I don't think they do it with Barry Windsor Smith.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. When does Silvestri come on? Like what issue? Because that was my era. But it's right around there.
Damn,
like
is
89,
it like
88, somewhere in there, 87.
Okay.
Late 80s. Because Jim Lee, I think, comes on right about 90-ish.
It's like 90, 91, right?
Yeah. And Silvestri is I feel like his run is thought of as longer than it actually is, I think.
I think you're right. I totally agree with you but that was the run I read. And so I was reading it month to month.
And 227. So it's like 3 issues.
Love and Death?
Oh no, Fall of the Mutants.
Oh, Fall of the Mutants. That's only 3 issues? Shut up. There's no way that's 3 issues.
And it's Mark Silvestri, Walter Simonson, and Brett Blevins. But that's also X Factor and New Mutants, so that's why it's all clustered.
God, and those are like 3 of my favorite artists from that time. Like, give me Simonson, give me Silvestri, give me Brett Blevins. I'm a big Blevins fan.
Yeah,
his work on
New
before we get in the comments, it's Life Death. The name of the storyline is Life Death.
Oh fuck! All right, sorry, my bad.
I think Love and Death is the Elizabeth Olsen show from HBO.
I didn't realize this too, that Executioner's Song is a Scott Lobdell story. It's not even a Claremont story, but that was also in issue 2 or in episode 2. So they're pulling all the Claremont and I guess, because that was a 94 story, that was right around the time that they were doing this, that they dropped this in.
So, go ahead, Josh. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and so see, this is why to kind of back up your point, Danny, adapting these stories for the animated series, it's not about slavishly going from how the stories were published in chronological order, right? If they started with a lot of the Jim Lee stuff and then get into Dark Phoenix Saga and all of that, that's again about finding stories that fit the long story at that moment and the storytelling, and that's great. I am totally for that, because again, what I dislike about animated adaptations is when they're just like, we're just going to redo the comic in animated form. It's like, well, then just go read the comic. I mean, that's often where I default to. I know I sound like Alan Moore when I say that, but
or just read one of those motion comics.
Oh God, don't get me started. Oh God, I hate motion comics so much.
So Disney did drop the lineup for episodes for this season.
Oh, okay.
So we got the first 2 already, right? That's what
there is Life Death. Look at that.
Fire Made Flesh feels like it's gonna follow the cliffhanger with a second Jean showing up. Now,
Oh yeah.
For those familiar with the comics, I mean, there's only one person that's had a little Nathan with Cyclops, and that was not Jean Grey.
This is so good.
Because when Jean Grey and Cyclops had a baby, it was a Nate or a Rachel, right?
Rachel.
Rachel,
or
yeah.
Nate, not Nathan. So that'll be really interesting. That's probably going to be that. I mean, they have to address that in the next episode. I'm going to go insane. And then we have Motendo / Life Death Part 1, which has to be Mojo World related, I feel.
Yeah. But they did
which-
Mojo World in the first run.
Yeah, which was insane. That was probably some of the craziest episodes were Mojo related. I did have a crush on Spiral, even with the 6 arms.
Because of the 6 arms.
Yeah, probably so. So then we have Life Death Part 2, Bright Eyes, which I imagine has to be like a Cable episode, maybe. It has to be Cable, Cyclops. I mean, or we did see in the intro when we see Morph, they are surrounded by a shadow that turns out to be what I think is Nathaniel Essex, Mr. Sinister. I think Morph is the one that had been really plagued by Sinister all throughout the run in the original series. So, and then we have Tolerance's Extinction Part 1, 2, and 3.
All right, does that come from any existing storyline?
Is that Extinction Agenda?
Here's the thing. If it doesn't, I do wonder if that is setting up Krakoa for next season.
I wonder, I mean, they could do like a Follow the Mutants type of story.
Okay, yeah.
That's
amazing. They've never adapted Follow the Mutants. And again, that was like a pivotal story for me.
And I mean, the Morlocks are around, which I believe they're part of that.
They are.
Follow the Mutant story, right?
We're going to end up in Australia so Wolverine can get his accent back.
Right. He's just going to learn it. You know what would be funny? If like him and like Rogue touches Wolverine and an Australian guy and like somehow the powers, all he gets is the accent.
Wait. So I do have to ask, big spoiler here, but have we ever seen Rogue use her powers to deliver a baby like that?
No.
That was wild. That happened. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
I think in the later comics, in the more recent stuff, she has a lot better control over powers. So she can target like what specifically she's kind of trying to get out of a person when she touches them. But that was still pretty cool. Like, first of all, there's so many things wrong with there. Like, did Scott and Jean just expect Beast to deliver the baby? They didn't have an OBGYN set up. These are the things you don't think of as a kid, but you think of as an adult. Like, if I'm having a baby,
he's sanitary. I mean,
right.
He just with all that hair, he
just hair everywhere.
He's got like a full body suit glove, like latex glove on. That
he wears a hairnet that goes all over his body.
Yeah, you imagine what the X-Mansion is like with just like little blue furs. Every time like sunshine goes through the window and you just see little blue furs. Like...
You know when you go to a restaurant and there's like a cook in the kitchen with like the biggest beard you've ever seen, and as in a tiny net, just like pretending to be doing anything to stop any of those things from falling in your food.
But there's also like Wolfsbane hair and feral hair, like all the hairy ones just like leave like.
I mean, there's probably Wolverine hair all over that place.
Wolverine hair.
Oh yeah, Wolverine's got to be the worst. He clogs the most drains. That's what I want to see. I want to see the maintenance crew that maintain the X-Mansion, that come in and clean up all the hair and pull the hair out of the drains for all the hairy animals, and then just like show up to work randomly and it's blown up, and then they go, okay, we have a day off.
Is there a mutant whose special power is vacuuming? You know,
it's also clear. It's also clear that Gambit just shaves all of his body hair, right?
Oh, that dude could like be in a luge.
Yeah,
like
he is. You have that long mane of hair without any other hair in your body.
I do think Clay has stumbled upon a new storyline, which is Damage Control Hair Edition. I think we should definitely work on that. So.
They should do like a Damage Control House Calls comic, it's like Damage Control has a smaller branch of it that focuses on providing like because they have to keep secret identities and stuff.
Yeah.
They provide cleaning services to superheroes. Marvel, get us and Kyle Starks to write this comic.
Yeah. Oh, good choice. Yeah, don't get the Goldsteins guy. Come on.
Yeah, he was. Oh man, I wanted to like that comic.
I wanted to like that comic too. I was all for it. And that first issue is just like, this
Moon
sucks.
Knight's gonna be on this. Cool.
And those were the only good bits for the Moon Knight, like when he goes to get his coffee and they get his name wrong. Like that was a solid joke, but so
I do want to show this ad that ran during the Fall of the Mutants.
I remember this
because this was based on a real ad that used to run at night that said, "It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are?" Because as Gen Xers, parents weren't really parenting; they just kind of let you run free. And so the news had to remind you had children and to take care of them. That's
growing
the generation I came
wild.
from.
Yeah, growing up in the 80s is wild if you think back on it. And there was like everything is it's insane.
I mean, you know, if CPS today knew we were all latchkey kids, they would be overwhelmed. I mean, you know. So.
I mean, I would not even touch a water hose now to drink from. Sorry.
Yeah, no. One other thing I want to commend the show for was like we're getting 30-minute episodes, which makes it so that not every episode has to be a two-parter, because that was a big thing in the they only had 22 minutes right in the original one, which is not really a lot of time to tell a full story. So a lot of the time they had to have these little like filler things in the episode. So the original episodes were a lot longer than they should have been if you kind of just put the storyline together. Justice League did the same thing a lot. They had a lot of two-parters.
Yeah.
But I imagine if they had the freedom of a Disney Plus service or a streaming service where there is no time constraint, like 30 minutes is plenty of time. Like how much happened in the first episode, right? We got Bobby DaCosta, which we haven't even talked about Bobby and Jubilee. Well, I guess we did a little bit. Which means, are we getting New Mutants season 2, or are we? I love a spinoff for New Mutants.
I would love to see Cannonball show up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to remember how many of these people already have shown up in the previous.
Me too.
There were a ton of cameos back in the day. And are they releasing them? How are they releasing them? Is it 2 every week or is it just one?
No, I think it's only one it was only 2 for the premiere, and then everything else 1 weekly.
1 weekly, okay.
Yeah, I cannot keep up this breakneck. I can't make reviews every week if they're gonna release 2, Jeff.
So I talked to him. I got Bob Iger on the phone, and I was just like, Bob, just 1 week.
Bob, listen, Bob.
You gotta give Danny a break.
Bob, I'm already watching Shogun on Tuesdays. I cannot watch 2 episodes of the X-Men on Wednesday. This is why I'm not covering Bad Batch, Bob, because you're releasing too many things at once.
It's too much. Listen, I support
you,
Bob, but
I also, a lot of people did a rewatch of the old show, and I didn't want to do that because I felt like it's just gonna ruin the way I feel about the show, especially the latter seasons. I feel like they're not like, I love watching clips online because people clip the best parts of the show.
Yeah,
they don't clip the nonsense, right? Well, I mean, some people do.
you just watch that Rogue scene over and over again.
Is
more specific? Yeah, she gets a lot of screen time in the cartoon.
Wait, what qualifies as the best scenes? Like, does that involve Wolverine stroking the framed photo or running out of the ship and punching Cyclops in the stomach? I mean, to me, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, it's like that, or like the Phoenix Force happening, or like the big culmination of the events and stuff. So
I like the supercut of all of them yelling or screaming.
Oh yeah,
there's a YouTube supercut of them just like are people just saying Gene over and over and over again?
Yeah. Right. So let's take a. I want to do something quick because Josh has to leave in a second. So I put something together that we can go back and update at the end of the season. And Josh, if you have to leave at any time,
okay.
But I made a tier, and I don't know why it didn't save the freaking. Yeah, I don't know. So I wanted to rank like these are all the X-Men that we saw in the first 2 episodes. And of course, this is supposed to read like, MVPs, but there's a limit of 2.
Okay.
We can only put 2 up here, and then this is were you even in the episode?
Oh, Gambit goes there. I was honestly shocked how little Gambit was in these 2 episodes, considering
those are-
the fan
that's the range.
favorite.
So let's go through these real quick. Beast, where would he rank from MVP? And remember, there's a limit of 2 MVPs, so like
Yeah.
we gotta be real careful. I'm gonna say.
I mean, I'm
Beast.
tempted to say A.
I'm tempted to say C. I mean,
I was gonna say
I don't think we
C.
get a lot of Beast time. Like,
yeah, there was not a lot other than him delivering a baby. Which, by the way, Hazel was on the couch when I watched these, and when we got done, I showed her a clip of Beast from the live action movie, and I was like, "Hey, can you tell who that is?" And she's like, "I know the voice." I'm like, "It's Frasier," and she's like, "What?"
Jeff, you got any thoughts on Beast ranking?
Oh yeah, I was gonna go C. He does almost
Yeah.
nothing. I mean, he
I
gives
think
the
so,
storm.
too. I think he's very underutilized.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the only argument I have is that it is great to see the way he's introed and the way Robert, sees him, and is just that kind of brings you into that mutant
It's-
world, because DaCosta isn't used to this.
It's the same intro from the original show, though. Like,
Yeah,
he's just
But it
upside
is-
down doing experiments, and Jubilee wakes up and she sees him.
yeah.
It is nice to get a Beast that is not trying to actively kill a bunch of people or acting insane or whatever.
That's true.
This is the
Although,
first
read the
Beast
latest storyline on X-Force. I
Well,
think
do we want to say B then? I mean, he does get a kind of intro moment.
no, I think C's fine. I think C.
Okay.
C works. All right, Bishop. I hate to say, were you even in the episode?
I
But
was
Yeah.
in the episode, yeah. Dude barely showed up.
He
All
takes a couple of shots and that's it.
yeah,
MVP.
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 MVP, right? Okay. good.
Yeah.
I'm glad we all agree.
This is the
Absolutely.
best adaptation of Cyclops
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah, it was good.
All right,
Were
Gambit.
you even in the episode?
Gambit. Where we putting Gambit?
Gambit could be the star of the episode, and I'd still say he's the worst thing in that episode.
You know,
Yeah,
you know what I do
yeah.
love, that they had a whole breakfast of beignets. Like, they were setting up a table of just beignets for breakfast for everyone. Like, that's all.
This
it
is,
was.
I feel
No
like that was a
protein.
callback because there is a moment in the first series where Jean's cooking something and Gambit comes in and tries to, like, he's like, "This tastes terrible. We need to add stuff," and Jean kicks him out of the kitchen.
I think she threatens to lobotomize him pretty much.
yeah.
I'm thinking
And
B.
I B or C. I mean, he
B for
definitely is going to
beignets.
show up later
Lower.
because he's about to be in a love.
Yeah, I say move Beast to B and put Gambit at C.
Yeah. Gambit is
Or-
just there as the love interest of Rogue. That's it.
He does drop the queen. But he has the cool thing with Wolverine with the claws.
Oh, that is
Raging
a cool moment.
Cajun.
That is a cool moment. All right, fine.
I'll give you the Raging Cajun.
I know. Yeah, I know. All right. So Gene.
A.
Hey.
Yeah, Gene had a lot going on. And then especially towards the end when we get double the Gene.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Is that She-Hulk?
Jubilee.
Is that She-Hulk? I say
A lot of
A.
heavy lifting. Yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
A. She
Yeah.
was really well represented.
Those dance, we have a shorts on the channel that is just 60 seconds of Jubilee dancing to the music from Blade. Go check it out.
That's brilliant.
I
Magneto.
feel like that
Let's
scene
move
was
Magneto-
a.
let's move Magneto and Storm till the end because I feel
Yeah, I know. We're gonna. That's
we're
gonna be
fight
a
it
debate.
out.
Yeah.
All right, Morph. Where do they stand?
I say A.
I say A.
He had some pretty good moments. I mean, hell, just walking in like a walk-in Charles Xavier is a.
They did change
Lady
into Archangel,
Deathstrike.
which was cool. I think
He's back,
Morph
yeah.
is gonna give us all the cameos that we want. That
Yeah.
so, I think Ace is a good spot. Rogue.
There wasn't a lot of Rogue. I say B or C.
Yeah, we're setting up the soap opera part of the show with Rogue. She's going to be
I'll put
the love interest of maybe Magneto and Rogue and Gambit.
So can Magneto touch her because she already has his powers? Was that the
He can control the magnetic waves around her body.
To quote that meme, magnets.
Oh,
Magnets. Yeah. So she can touch him and she can feel it, but it's not actually him. It's just
got it.
her control or him controlling the magnetic waves around her.
Jeff,
Okay.
I would put her at B. She does deliver the baby, and she gets to be right next to Gambit.
So I guess not to be crude, but on top of Gambit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, be crude.
They just sat around and ate beignets. I mean, they really weren't involved in a lot of action.
Yeah, they didn't do a lot.
She does have a lot of cat analogies, like too many. Every part of her dialogue mentions a cat, I think.
Well, there are callbacks to the original that she would say, "You're all nervous like a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs."
All right, now Wolverine.
This is sad Wolverine.
Yeah,
I say he's B.
I feel like B as well.
I think it's C. I don't know that we
I
other
think
than the
it's
cross
C.
moment. Like even he doesn't. I do love his reaction to Jean saying he's here. Who? Apocalypse. I'll get on with it. Like no, you fooled the baby.
Okay, I mean, I'm fine with B or C actually.
I think C, but above Beast. I feel like there's room for growth. All right, this is gonna. I feel like we gotta choose our MVP first.
I want Storm to be the MVP. I feel like she absolutely is essential in all these episodes.
Man,
yeah.
The speech that Magneto gives, like when they're floating, I mean, both in the court and then when they're floating in space, like
yeah.
But yeah, I think we got to give it for. Storm gets the MVP here,
and he's certainly the top A. I mean,
yeah.
All right.
Honestly, I would as much as I love Cyclops, I would swap. I would put Storm 1, Magneto 2, Cyclops 3. Just for what we saw in the show, because Magneto's speech is the whole thing at the end of that second episode is so powerful.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah. I just feel
Cyclops is awesome, but Storm has the biggest arc. I think Magneto has the biggest powerful punch moment.
Okay.
Cyclops is like the coolest action.
My argument for Cyclops is this is the best we've ever seen him from the movies, every adaptation. We get to see him do new things that we've never seen him do before, and it was just done well.
Is it the best only because the other ones have been so bad?
I gotta bounce, guys. Sorry.
All right,
See you.
All right. See you, man. Enjoy Ghostbusters.
Thank you. I'll talk about it next week.
Sounds good.
I don't know. This Cyclops was the real leader. Like we never saw James Marsden or that other kid really lead or become the guy that is really weighed down by the emotion of having to carry the X-Men and like maybe having to leave them. You know, like he is really kind of in it.
Yeah.
All right,
I mean, I agree. It's definitely the best Cyclops that we've ever gotten before.
So we'll revisit that here, and we'll add more characters when we kind of look back at the season. So, all right. Was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about these two episodes? I know there's a lot of speculation, of course, as to what's going to happen. We kind of have a little bit of an idea just because we've read so many comics from X-Men, I think, which I don't mind. I don't mind seeing the stories that I love kind of being retold in a fun way like this.
Yeah.
My only hopes is that we do get more mutants.
Cameos.
I did see. I was looking through the list as I was putting this together. I was looking through the list of all the voices that have been cast. So this might be a bit of a slight spoiler, but somebody has been cast as Nightcrawler. But I don't know when or how they would come into the picture. So that would be really interesting. Because was Nightcrawler a big part of the original series? I don't remember.
Of the 97, like
yeah.
He was in an episode where they like meet him at a church, and then he comes back in a later episode too.
Yeah.
But he only did a couple.
Okay. The last question I have for you guys, well, I guess it's a two-part question. First of all, from the 90s cartoons, which I know you guys seem like not big fans of, but like, Which one of those would you like to see like crossover into with this cartoon? Like if you had to bring in one of those characters from those 90s cartoons.
Oh,
I feel like
I
they've
thought
already-
I want a new one. I have a new person I'd like to bring in.
Okay.
I would like to see Carol Danvers show up as Captain Marvel, and we relive Avengers Annual 10 when Rogue holds on too long and takes half her personality.
Oh, but
And-
that
and
I
it's
mean,
trapped-
isn't that how she got her powers in this? They do a flashback to this in the original.
Do they? Does
She's flying the ship and they're about to crash, and then Mystique tells Rogue to like grab her and not let go, and that's how she got it. They do retcon. I remember that very vividly. That
Really?
episode. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe you got your wish. Because she comes back later on. She ends up in a coma for like a long time. Then she finally wakes up, and then Rogue has to kind of go back and they reckon all that stuff. But Rogue never loses her powers again, I guess, from her.
Yeah, she keeps the.
We
I think
do know
I
that
feel like
she's,
I've already seen on the internet that they've already kind of got a thing planned for Spider-Man, that Spider-Man version to pop over.
Well, I mean, we know that Eddie Brock and Peter Parker cover the Hellfire Gala from the newspaper we saw. So they
Mhm.
definitely exist.
I
We know
would
that-
lose my mind if they do a Hellfire Gala episode.
Yeah, we know that Stark Industries exist. We saw when they were in Times Square. We do
Yeah.
Stark Industries logo. We do see the Yoshida logo, the Silver Samurai.
Yeah.
We see that as well, and of course, like we know Bobby DaCosta. So, yeah, there is.
You know, if they're introducing Madeline Pryor, I would like to see them do an Inferno thing, and then maybe have Doctor Strange come over.
Oh yeah,
That would be
like
cool.
when the vacuums lose in New York because it's possessed by a demon. You gotta
Yeah.
call Doctor Strange.
Who you gonna
I-
call? Doctor Strange.
Demon Bear Saga with the New Mutants.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. I think it was done well in the movie, but I feel with all the backstory and stuff in here, it'd be kind of great to see.
Nice. All right. And the second part of my question, which one of those animated series, or maybe what a different character would you like to see like a 97 version of? So like, like bring in
Gold
more animated.
Balls.
Gold balls?
Yeah.
Gold balls would be cool. So I was
I
thinking
really
more
want
of
to
the,
see Krakoa.
I was thinking more of the other series like that were at the time, right? So like I would love
Oh.
for them to continue Spider-Man, although it got really weird with Spider-Man Unlimited because they ended up going to like, I bet they can retcon that out, like just continue pick up from the end of the original Spider-Man series,
Yeah.
and then do something like this. I think that'd be really cool.
I don't know,
I don't
like,
know if there
there's-
is a comic from the like one of their cartoons. Like I wouldn't mind them trying to do a Fantastic Four cartoon. That would
Here it
be fun.
is. The all new, all different Fantastic Four with Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk.
Oh,
Like somehow we have a one-off Wolverine story that goes into a FF story.
yeah,
Oh, that'd be fun.
that would be cool. Yeah, they have so much they can do. I hope that they see the success of this animation project as a way to like, oh, we should do more animation stuff.
Well, I am concerned because they did lose the showrunner who did the first season. Like after it was done, he apparently got fired because he was like really a terrible person to work with.
No,
So yeah, that's what I'm reading over at EW.com. And so maybe they get a better showrunner in, but I don't know if they get the same stories. I mean, it's weird, but like that guy's all his work is going to be this whole season. So whoever comes in next just needs to kind of mimic it without his attitude.
yeah, I feel like a lot of the people working on the show, and just from in different, I mean, each episode had a different director, and they have different writers, right? So like, they could definitely find somebody to kind of probably fill in that showrunner spot. But it feels like a lot of these people are people that grew up watching this and they love it, or they love the comics, so they're like, kind of like, if we worked in that industry and we're putting it together, like this is what I want to see. So that's what we're gonna do.
I was scoping
for
the
me, I think
credits. Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Clay. I was gonna say I was scoping
for
the
me,
credits.
I'd love
and
to
there
see.
was- we do this all the time.
I'm gonna drop both of you
You
guys.
go, Clay. You go, Clay.
E for Extinction, because they are a school, and as they try to rebuild, I would love to see them bring in a bunch of new mutants, including Quentin Quire, who doesn't kind of bond with Wolfsbane and Mirage and all the original New Mutants, like that kind of that we know from the New Mutants storyline. That's what I want to see. I want to see like those new characters brought together and their own story. Like what it, because these guys, we see the original poster of this team in the storyline, but that was part of the storyline when Magneto took over. The New Mutants had started with Charles and then go to Magneto. What happens when a team of New Mutants starts with Magneto and his ideals? Now you can go.
I was going to say that while looking at the credits, I saw one of the executive producers was Charlie Feldman, who I remember she used to be like an internet, like one of those people that was on like Nerdist or whatever. And so usually those people are really good at being like fans first and then, whatever. So I was just going to say, I feel like that outside of the showrunner having to leave. And I also read that he had penned a good chunk of the second, or kind of outlined a good chunk of the second season already.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're okay,
Okay. Well, we'll definitely revisit this. I think we all enjoy it. I know Kyle also wanted to talk about it. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to join us. Maybe we'll bring another X-Men fan too when the season ends. But yeah, 30 minutes a week. That's not too big of a commitment to.
Did you guys watch? Did you guys watch Wolverine and the X-Men or any of the other X-Men cartoons?
I've got that on Blu-ray. I love that one.
Wolverine and the X-Men. What's the other one called? X-Men Evolution. I think X-Men Evolution was. That's when I was like really into it. Like I was seeking that out because I would watch that on Saturday mornings when they still had that. Clay's about to climb his wall.
Yeah, about to pull down one of the. This was a Burger King giveaway back in the day that, like, I forget what's on the CD, but yeah, I have this and one other Nightcrawler from Evolution.
I hope the CD is like German for dummies, but it's all done by the voice that did Kurt in the animated series. Cool. All right. Well, we got that out of the way. Now that Josh is gone, we can really get into it. Now,
one last thing I'll point out, because while I was looking through the list of X-Men 97 episodes, in season 5, there is an episode called Old Soldiers that Len Wein wrote, who created Wolverine and does tell the Wolverine Captain America story. So that's where Cap shows up.
Yeah, there was definitely a Len Wein Easter egg. There was a John Romita Easter egg. They're all over the place. Like I said, go watch the new Rockstars breakdown. It's pretty comprehensive. Okay. Now, follow-up question. Did you guys get to read our comic book for today?
Yes.
Jeff? Okay, cool. So then let's do our comic review. Let me set that up. So if you're new to the channel, we are very fortunate to get some of these comics in advance. We're going to talk about a comic that's coming out this week by a creative team that has done comics that we like in the past. So let's do that, and then we'll get into the rest of the show. All right. So for this week, we're going to be talking about Feral #1. This is a new book from Image Comics. Let's talk about the creative team first. This is written by Tony Fleeks, with art by Trish Forster, colors by Brad Simpson, Cougar Magic, Sarah Richard. I don't know what that means. Where's the letterer?
That's the Cougar Magic.
I guess so. Interesting.
Weird.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I guess the letterer is okay. That really caught me by surprise. So this is from the creators of Stray Dogs. So if you haven't read Stray Dogs,
so good. Solid.
It's a laugh riot.
There's a lot of books about animals going on right now, and
there are a lot of books about
I'm not here for it. Like we have Animal Pound from
Tom King.
We have Man's Best that just came out this week by Pornsak Pinchay and JC Lonergan. But let's talk about Feral. There's really not a big synopsis that I can give you other than we follow this group of cats that were being driven somewhere in a van, and they crash and they're kind of lost out in the wild, and then bizarre things start happening. So Clay, how did you, as a fan of somebody who's I mean, I think you both read Stray Dogs, right? As
Yeah.
well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Clay, what did you think of this book?
Oh, I'm already excited for it because I knew how Stray Dogs was. And this one just gives you just a little bit of a tease of the cats and where they've come from because of their attitude of staying. Like, as soon as the truck crashes, the cats scatter except for these three because they're house cats. And they go, well, the people will bring us food if we just wait. Like, that's their mentality. So they bring you into this mentality of the animals that's really fun to go, well, okay, well, why don't they do this or go this way? It's because the way they've grown up. And so you see these other animals that start to come around and their eyes are different. And it gives you a little tease about what's going to happen and what's going to happen to the cats. So if you've never read their first book, it was a horror story that looks like a Disney story. And that is what's so great about this is it has that Disney look with kind of a Silence of the Lambs feel.
Yeah. Jeff, what did you think of the book?
I loved it. I was a little I was upset a little bit when you were like, this is the book we're reading this week. And I was like, no, I want to be surprised with it in my hand when we were gonna like when it comes out. But I was excited to read it. Tony Fleeks and I are friends on TikTok, so I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, we're gonna put some clips out there, tag them, you know.
It's like it's a Home Alone, I guess, or not Home Alone. What is Homeward Bound?
Yeah,
but with cats. It's great. It's it starts off with these 3 domesticated cats getting captured by animal control, and then the animal control car crashes, and they're just trapped out in the forest, having no idea of what's going on, no idea what's where they are, whatever they're going to do because they're just domesticated animals. I love the way that they're written as kind of like, I don't know, they have basic needs and that's all there is. There's not, and you can see there's a lot of teases as to what's to come, what their bigger dangers involved. And it's just great. And if you know anything about Stray Dogs, you gotta hang on to the guardrails because you're about to go for a ride,
Yeah.
I do want to say though that they kind of explained in the story that although the animal control took them, they didn't catch them. They took them from a house because they said that the girl was screaming when we left, like she didn't want them to go. Is the implication, but maybe there's more to it.
There's a bigger mystery for sure here that we don't really know why it's happening. I think this first issue does very smartly teases a lot of really cool things without giving everything away. I think that's very fun. I love that because the story is focused on the animals. Like whenever we see humans, you never get to really see their full face, right? They're talking and you kind of like just see the bottom of their face, or like you hear them over a radio.
Very Muppet Babies.
Yeah, it very much so. It gets kind of gruesome, which is a very nice juxtaposition. Let me pull up some of the preview art. Like if you just look at this first page, like you don't really think anything of it, but then the tone very suddenly changes when we get into even just the coloring, like very much adjusts to like the different type of story. And then as we go forward, like things just get more hectic, right? And I can't imagine, like, I don't know, I always try to think, I don't know why I always try to put myself in the place of an animal when it's a story like this. Like they don't have the full logic of a human person, or I'm trying to gauge what is the creative team giving them as far as like agency, like how much, like is this a is this kind of a real world animal that has all the instincts but none of the actual knowledge, or is this a little bit more augmented as far as like their characteristics? Do they think a little bit more like people?
Yeah, they're almost written like little kids in a way. Where it's
Almost,
just it's more they're just everything is so kind of immediate thought, whatever. But
And then this, I really like this 2-page spread. And the
Yeah.
PDF, unfortunately, the way we read it, it's like it just looks
Broken.
like 2 pieces. But I did put it together for the
oh, it makes so much more sense now.
yeah.
It looks
Jeff
great.
read this like scree before crash. It didn't. I don't understand what's happening, but yeah, it's just
Oh.
And now we get to see the first glimpse of the fox's eyes that make more sense later in the book.
and seeing this dude was he not wearing a seatbelt? What's happening? He just got thrown from the. Oh, maybe let me go back. I guess he's not. The seatbelt's just up here.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Because he's in the tree. He's in the tree later.
Attention to detail. I love it. I didn't even catch that till the second time around. See, Jeff, you can still read this when you get it physically and still be surprised by a whole bunch of detail.
I know. There's still stuff to look forward to.
Maybe it'll be like a scratch and sniff.
This is the perfect monthly book because each book pays off and hooks you to the next one. And I'm saying that now with just the way Stray Dogs was. Because Stray Dogs was the first of its kind and you didn't know where it was going. And now I feel like they're playing in a different arena now with the horror themes that are going to be in this book.
Yeah. Sometimes books like this, or sometimes books that are published independently and done in a single issue format, you can tell they just broke up a trade and broke it up into issues. But then with stuff like this, you can really tell that they meant to write this episodically, not for the trade, right? Which I think it goes a long way when I'm trying to decide what to buy monthly versus what to wait on for the trade. So, okay. Cool. Is there anything else you guys want to say about Feral before we move on?
Nope.
Well,
can't wait to get my hands on a physical copy.
That's right. You're gonna go Feral yourself.
It comes out this week?
This Wednesday, yes.
Okay.
I picked 3 of my favorite variant covers to show.
I was curious because I didn't see any variants.
So we have Run the Jewels homage. If you're a fan of Run the Jewels. Now the second one, I don't know what it's for. That poster.
Is that Skinwalkers?
Maybe it has to be the eyes on top that really give it away. But it looked really cool. So like I just use that as part of the display. And then of course we have it, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, very, very exciting stuff. Whoops. Very exciting stuff. Thanks to Image. Good luck to the creative team. I think we know this is going to be a success. So, so there you go.
Are you guys reading? Is anybody reading Local Man? Also by
no,
Tony Bleaks.
But
I hear
Local
I haven't read it.
Local Girl #1, which is a one shot, I believe, comes out this week. Jeff.
Oh, okay.
I think it's on the folder if you don't want to wait.
Okay.
I have Local Man, but I haven't read it yet.
I read the first issue. It was interesting, but that one was one I knew that I wanted to just wait for the trade, which I think it's out already. I think they're like issue 8 or 9, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to our previously on next issue. If I can find my notes, there we go. I'm gonna kick it over to you, Clay. You want to tell us a few things that you read this week or watch or whatever?
You want to keep comics or go to movies?
Yeah, we can stick with comics.
Okay, because I want to talk about the greatest book I've read this year, The Faint of Heart. Now, this is a advanced readers edition that I happened to come across at Half Price Books, and since they can't sell it, I got it for free. This I immediately after I sat down and started to flip through it because I like the art. This is also the finished book will be in color, and I love the art on its own. It is let's see here, Carrie Lynn Wilson. It is her first graphic novel, and it is fantastic. And I'm pitching it to Josh for Comic Book Club for next year. I really love this story. It's about a world where let me see how they explain it. But with all the anxiety and anger in the world, a doctor learns how to remove your heart so you don't have those feelings anymore. And so there's like this whole town that has slowly started to have these feelings removed. And this one girl who's an artist that lives in the town, who's trying to hold on to that, because as she sees from her family that has this removed, it just drives away love and joy and really anything fun in their life. Like, she makes them cards at the dinner table, and her mom just goes, "This is just clutter," and wants to throw them away. Like, it's beautifully told. It has the themes of like Pleasantville in it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a mystery to it because someone's stolen one of the hearts from the company that's taking care of that. Yeah, that's keeping them. First time story, great art. I can't wait to see it colored. But like, I really want Comic Book Club to read this, because it was weird, because I'm just flipping through it as I brought it home, and I'm like, okay, well, this is pretty great art. It's telling a good story. And then I just started reading it, and I read it in one sitting. It was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. So I hope we get to read it for Comic Book Club. But I'm going to pitch this to everyone. This is probably one of my favorite books of the year so far. So this will definitely be on my recommendation list, and hopefully like one of my lists for the best of the year.
Nice. Well, you can get this already from HarperCollins. $15 for the paperback, $21 for the hardcover, or $9 for the ebook.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, it's just a beautiful story. I really loved it.
Nice.
On the total opposite end, Howard the Duck Volume 2, which is Steve Gerber's last run at Howard. It's a 6-issue story, which is pretty amazing. We discover a lot more about Howard in this book. He in the beginning, he's being sought out by Dr. Bong, who is trying to control the world with boy bands. In doing so, Howard falls into a vat similar to the Joker, but turns into a rat. And weird things continue to happen through the story. He makes fun of the comics of the time, which were the 90s. So there is one whole issue where he's fighting Witchblade, which he calls Doucheblade. And when Howard gets a hold of the Doucheblade, he accidentally grows enormous tits.
Interesting.
And then it just parodies like House of Mystery and Vertigo. They go to the house and see Cain and Abel, Spider Jerusalem. And then we also discover that Howard and Beverly have an open relationship, as they can wish for whatever they want when they get into the house. And so Beverly wishes for a big, dumb man. It is a wild, wild story, with a lot of it kind of, because they bring in Glenn Fabry to do a lot of the art. So you get that preacher vibe. Because there is a preacher story that kind of underlies it with these great powers and what's happening in the world. But my favorite Gerber moment is the end, when Howard meets God, and he asks God, like, why all these creations and stuff? And he goes, oh, that wasn't me. Like, there's a whole corporate entity that runs the entire universe. I was work for hire. So that's why I created you. So Steve Gerber, who had always fought work for hire, gets to put in a plug that God wasn't really, he was the creator because he was just work for hire too.
That's funny. That's good. Now, the first part of the story that you mentioned about taking over the world with boy bands, I saw that this is a comic from 2002, because that is the plot of Josie and the Pussycats, the film from 2001.
Yeah.
Clearly a ripoff.
I mean, how soon did he have the story, loaded and ready to go? Phil Winslade did the art. I don't know how long that took.
They cranked those stories out back in the day. So I bet those two guys watched Josie and the Pussycats and then immediately went to work on Howard the Duck?
Well, it has a huge Dr. Bong influence because he's trying to pursue Beverly, who's his ex-wife, and trying to get the duck out of the picture. So it has a little bit of that. So maybe he did riff it a little bit, but it's not the main point of the first issue.
Now we'll have to do a Josie and the Pussycats episode.
Love that. That is a great underrated movie. It's fantastic.
That movie's brilliant. I love that movie.
Great. I'm glad everyone
that is the first DVD I ever owned was Josie and the Pussycats.
Nice. That's a good one.
Wow. The first DVD I ever owned was The Criterion of Brazil.
I think they're the same movie.
I'm gonna drop Clay. This is like it's like when there's two people. I've seen Letterboxd clips like interviewing people. Like there are two kinds of answers as to like your top 4. There are like the obscure movies that no one's ever heard of, that only that because you are an actor and it's your craft, you probably go seek it out. And then there's the people like the Godzilla team, when they were interviewed, they were like Jurassic Park and like Terminator, and I was like, fuck yeah, that's what I want to hear.
I had seen Brazil as a kid and always tried to work that movie out in my head. And the Criterion is great because it really shows you that not all commentaries are good to listen to, because Terry Gilliam does the worst fucking commentaries.
They really just let kids in the 80s do whatever the fuck they wanted, huh? If you were watching Brazil back then.
Dude, this is one of the okay, so like so that came out like in 84 and very limited release, and I was like super stoked to see it. It was one of the weekends that I had visitation with my dad, which is very rare because I could count the times I've seen my dad as a kid on one hand. He took me to that movie, dropped me off, and then took off. So I went to see Brazil by myself, and I was just like, because it had these flying men. I was like, it's like Angel from X-Men. And then it's just a mind fuck of what that whole story is. It's always been kind of in my head.
No, it's not Claremont's X-Men, it's Morrison's X-Men. Holy shit.
It is wackadoo, man. But I love the movie. I do love it. It's fantastic.
I like going back to like, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are? Oh, they're obviously watching Brazil in the other room is what they do.
They're at the multiplex.
Barton Fink. Fink. I know I'm the Millhouse of this crowd. I know.
We were all watching the Hudsucker Proxy at the time. I don't know.
Oh, we lost half of our audience.
This is why Danny. This is why we all. So what I should have put later when we do the trailers is we should watch that. What is it? 1,000 Beavers movie that I dropped in the chat. There's the movie about all the beavers. I was like, that movie is 100% 90s Gen X, like kitty feet or whatever, catnip. So when Danny was like, no, I'm out, forget it, I was like, oh,
we need to have just a show where it's just Gen X on film, and you and me just go through Gen X films.
All right, what else you got, Clay?
Oh, last book I picked up Agent of Atlas, the Dark Reign run, because I kind of become a fan of Gorilla Man, so I wanted to read more stories with him. So picked this up. Haven't read the whole way through, but picked up, read the stories in the back. So we've got like a Wolverine encounter with the early Atlas men. The Atlas team is formed from Gorilla Man, Marvel Boy, Namora. Oh, who else is in there? M11, the human robot. Just almost like a Doom Patrol, like just the rejects of every other kind of superhero story are in this together. And it's run by Jimmy Woo, who's already in the MCU. So I kind of love to see this team show up in the MCU. It's just fun and weird. They encounter Kang. The one story I read with Wolverine is wild because it takes place in the early days of Atlas, which were characters that Marvel seemed to have gotten from, I believe, the 50s from a book acquisition. So I've been hunting down those and been trying to read up on my Gorilla Man history. But that's it.
Interesting. Yeah, I've only read the more recent Agents of Atlas, the Greg Pak stuff. But it's
tracking those down.
I think it's a completely different roster, other than maybe Jimmy Woo. I think he's still running around.
I think Gorilla Man stays consistent in the book, doesn't he?
Okay. Maybe. I don't remember. Okay, it's been a little while. So, Jeff, what do you got?
What do I have? So we'll go with the big two. first. I've got a Fantastic Four what number is this? 18. Giant invisible asteroids are going to hit the Earth, but the Fantastic Four have to stop them. Month after month, I just love this book so much. You get a little science lesson that comes along with it, and it's like old school. So like you don't even know you're getting the science lesson; it just happens, and then you. This one was actually a little bit too complex for me, honestly.
How dare you teach me stuff?
Yeah. But we get to see Franklin use his powers for a little bit.
What are his powers? Is he immune again?
Yeah, he's immune. He's like the most powerful.
I thought he could create
ever.
multiverses.
I thought
Yeah.
he was retconned out of being a mutant.
I do think that they.
I think Dan Slott did something.
Yeah, they were supposed to like they removed his mutant thing for a little bit, or he depowered himself or something. So the comic talks about that. So he's like he talks about how he was all powerful, this entity that's supposed to outlive everybody, and then like Galactus came from the previous iteration of the universe, passed into this one. He's supposed to be that person that goes into the next one. And he talks about how he's like, but I just want to be a kid. So they've kind of retconned it in this issue where he's like, so I just don't use my powers. Like I shut them off, and only once a year do I subconsciously do they kick in while in this issue. He's like, only once a year do they subconsciously kick in while I'm sleeping, and I just kind of look at everything, and I make sure nothing bad is going to happen. And that's the premise of this issue, is that he's doing one of his little cosmic check-ins, and he sees these invisible asteroids that are going to hit the Earth, and he kind of plays it out, and he sees that his family tries to take care of it, and ultimately they fail. So Cosmic Franklin simply shifts the invisible asteroids so they don't hit Earth. But then the kick of the episode or issue is that I think it's Diablo. I actually don't know who the villain is in it. Shifts them back, so the Fantastic Four still has to deal with it, and they do. But yeah, this is Ryan North is just killing it on this.
Ryan North is going really out there. I like it.
Yeah.
So Franklin's like a watcher.
Franklin is like the most powerful being in the Marvel universe. He's basically Marvel Universe God.
But imagine him just showing up like Uatah, but it's because he needs to change something because he's saving it. So he's not watching, he's just participating.
Yeah, he's actually actively doing stuff. Wonder Woman number 7. This is a fun standalone issue. It is Batman's birthday and Superman and Wonder Woman travel to the galaxy's largest mall, which is of course just right outside of Earth. And they go shopping on a shopping trip to try to find Batman again.
For the Bat who has everything.
For the Bat who has everything. And it's just a great dialogue. I just want Tom King to write all these characters forever and ever and ever.
It reminds me of
him a Justice League.
It reminds me of the Double Date issue in his Batman run where it was like just the two couples kind of hanging out, but this is just Wonder Woman and Superman going to the mall.
Yeah. It's great. They have like a great day at the mall, platonic friendship. You know, Wonder Woman has been kicked out of the United States, and there's a big war between the United States and the Amazons. Yeah. And Clark keeps trying to bring up the subject, and she doesn't want to talk about it. But it just feels like a very real friendship between the two.
She gets a parking ticket.
And she gets a parking ticket. Yeah. They're both annoyed by the mall.
Yeah. She takes the jet in space.
Yeah, there's a fun little part where she's trying to find a parking space in the mall, and she gets yelled at by an alien, and she's like, "I hate going to the mall." And
it's really good.
It's just a great issue.
It's interesting that it came out of nowhere because the last issue was pretty tense. But I guess they're giving Saint Pierre a little break so he can catch up on art, probably.
Yeah, and it's also it's nice to kind of get those little like emotional breaks too in a story. Titans number 9. We've got the Titans they've stepped in it again. Actually, they haven't, but Raven's evil sister has taken over Raven's body. The best part about this issue is there's a bit with Peacemaker and what's her
Waller.
name? Amanda Waller here are kind of the big villains of the Titans. But Peacemaker is bringing in a new recruit to their little government agency, and he's like, "Oh, we're the good guys. We're the good guys." And he opens the door, and there's like a giant demon that Amanda Waller is having a meeting with, and it's just Tom Taylor's super funny. There's like these little moments that are great.
Yeah.
Uh,
I will say,
finally,
sorry, before you move on, I hate how inconsistent Amanda Waller's design is throughout the DC universe. Like every artist is just whatever the hell they want. Like whatever version of Amanda Waller they love the most. Like there's no like design.
There's
pattern.
no rules.
yeah, there's no rules. Finally, this is the world's finest number 25, the 25th issue. Oh, you got the
Oh,
Shatner cover.
Variant.
What the shat?
The captain
Great.
speaking.
First time that Joker meets Lex Luthor.
Again.
But it's a great little issue. I love that the Joker. Whoops.
You're
What
still
happened?
here.
Yeah,
am
you
I still here? I must have hit something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Joker shaves his head when he first meets Lex Luthor, just because he's like, "Oh, let's be bald brothers together" or whatever. But yeah, and then they tease like they go to Shazam's magic cave or whatever. Anyway, it's just a fun episode, and then you get the tease of the Fifth Dimension crossover event that's coming out later on this summer.
Yeah. Dan Mora's art. Oh my god. Just
Yeah.
dynamite.
Dude.
Listen, Dan Mora can draw a dinosaur like nobody else.
Dan Mora can draw
Art Adams.
whatever.
Art
the hell he
Adams.
wants.
He's my
Well,
dinosaur
that's probably
guy.
true.
Dan Mora can draw whatever he wants, and it'll look super cool. Nice. All right. Was that it, Jeff? As far as comics, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have more if you want me to talk about the others.
No, I
I
can.
kinda spoiled it.
Let me take a go. Let me go here.
Yeah.
Let me show you some highlights. I haven't read all these, but I did pick up some really cool stuff. I picked up the Archie's Pops Chocolate Shop of Horrors one shot. I love these.
Cool.
I love reading Archie horror stuff. It's really fun. I haven't gotten to read
They're
it.
good.
I picked up the latest Rebel Moon, House of the Blood Axe.
It's a great cover.
Yeah, I mean Phil Noto.
Can't
Yeah.
go wrong with Phil Noto, dude.
The last cover was by Daniel Warren Johnson. I don't know how they got all these artists to do those covers because every cover has been amazing. Kill Your Darlings, number 7. We're almost at the end.
Wow.
It's really good. I haven't read Man's Best. I read the Ashcan, but I haven't read the actual issue, so I'll have a review for that coming up pretty soon.
It's good. Man's Best is good.
And I did pick up Dawn Runner, which we talked about last week.
That was really beautiful.
I also picked up the Visions, the
Star Wars.
Takashi Okazaki, who did the Ronin story in the show, and they've also done one more of these one shots. And then Invincible Iron Man. If you want to see somebody draw like 10,000 armors, just watch. Just read this. There's
Is that still
so
Duggan?
This is Gary Duggan writing, and it's Kreese Lee on pencils. But here, let me show you the big splash page.
The comic
Oh,
shop
sure.
got short of these, and I'm like, oh, I hope I get one. I was like, please, when you get them in, put one in.
It's so many armors and so many because all the Sentinels now look like Iron Man because of reasons. So, but the books I want to talk about, X-Men Forever number 1, and I forgot to bring out all the books because I was reading those earlier. So, X-Men Forever number 1 is insane. Like it takes place before I think Fall of the House of It, like all the last two. Holy shit! Kieran Gillen is just closing out all the loops that have been set up, and I'm really enjoying that. Resurrection of Magneto number 3, Al Ewing also just like if you like Storm and Magneto in the show, they are just as cool in this comic book. They're doing different things. As we saw, I don't know if you guys are reading, but in the last issue we saw that the Shadow King was back because of course, and it's great. Yeah, look at that cover for X-Men Forever too. Like,
I mean, come on.
whew,
Amazing.
they're going all out. They're not holding anything back because they don't need to. They don't need to hold anything back now that the Krakoan Age is coming to an end.
But I'm also curious because we've seen the art coming out for the new X books. What is going to be the last Hickman logo, the last Krakoa era X-Men logo?
It's probably that X-Men 35 issue. They announced it. It's got like, it's a really cool cover of like pretty much every mutant in the Krakoan Age, like double spread page. It's really cool. Yeah. It'll be really fun. Also, I checked out Amazing Spider-Man number 45 because Carmen Carnero is on art, and I'm a big fan of Carmen. And I was not disappointed. Like, this is following up on some threads that I wanted to follow up on. Like, Mary Jane's aunt was sent to Ravencroft, which is the Arkham equivalent, because of the Krakoan drugs, and Peter's got to fix that. So, yeah, I really, really liked it. And some other quick highlights: Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 2, The Return. That was really good. It's still, like, if you like the original Power Rangers, I think you should read that comic. I also checked out Spawn 135 because they just had like a new direction, they call it. Is it 135? No, 351. Sorry, I don't know. I might be dyslexic. It's 351, not 135. So something big happened in issue 350. I didn't read it. I just dove into this. But something happened that closed off the powers for everyone from heaven and hell. So now the vampires are like the most powerful creatures. Like, there's this guy called Blood, I guess, and he's like the head of the vampires. I don't know. I don't know much Spawn lore. I'm just kind of going with what they're giving me. But it's cool. Like, Spawn has to carry around a big sword, and his cape is more like a cloak right now because he doesn't have his powers, so it's not like moving around and stuff. I don't know. Really
heavy cape now.
Yeah, they kind of nerfed Spawn, but it's an interest. I mean, not just him, everyone. Like, the angels are getting hunted down, demons are getting hunted down by the vampires. So vampires are kind of in charge. So I also read Black Cloak Volume 1. I won't go too deep into it, but it's really good. If you want to hear me talk more about it, go listen. I was just on an episode of I Read Comics. And I talked a lot about that. But I highly recommend it. Kelly Thompson just knows how to write a fun detective story.
How much is that first volume cover?
It's 6 issues. So yeah, so they did the whole first arc, and the next issue comes out in July. What's that?
Oh, okay. So it's yeah, that's right. I've read the whole thing. I just can't remember how
it goes all the way up to like a big reveal for the city, like what's going on in the city.
Yeah. That's right.
And then
I really like the artwork in that too.
The last thing, Cobra Commander number 3, which I think.
Yes.
Did you talk about it, Jeff?
No, I was gonna wait on the second round.
Oh, okay. We can talk about it now. Did you guys all read it? Did you read it, Clay?
I haven't read it yet. I've just read.
I don't know if I remember. I put it in the folder. Sorry. So I won't go into spoilers, but man, Cobra Commander is just fucking cool. Like, he doesn't need to physically destroy you. He can just mentally destroy you and like play games with you.
Yeah.
And it becomes super creepy because of what they do to the mask.
Oh yeah, it's so cool. Very, very cool art choices and a big
la.
Yeah. I'll put it in the folder after this. I forgot to upload it because we got it a little bit late. So that's all the comics. Let me do some movie stuff because I really need to talk about this.
I was curious to hear your opinion on.
I did catch up on Invincible-ish episodes 5 and 6, which now are back. I forgot how, man, every time I get sucked right back into that world. It's so good. Invincible, so good. I'll do a review probably when the season's over of the last 4. I also forgot they're an hour long, and I started watching them yesterday, like at 10 p.m., which was not a good choice. Because they do this really interesting thing where they don't cut off the story at the end. They cut off the story like with a big cliffhanger, and then they resolve it within the first 10 minutes of the next one. So then you're hooked again to like keep watching. It's very, very interesting, but it's really cool. But so I guess 2 things. I've never seen the original Roadhouse, and I want to now because this Roadhouse was so fucking boring. Dude, it's so unfortunate because I'm a big fan of Jake Gyllenhaal. And I like the stuff Doug Liman's done in the past.
Wait,
too.
wait,
Like,
wait, wait, whoa! You're a Swiftie and a fan of Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
doesn't go together, man.
Come on.
Even I
I
understand.
can compartmentalize.
all right.
I
I'll let
went
it slide.
I went into this film pretty excited because look, I've seen Parks and Rec. I know what Roadhouse is kind of about, right?
I was wondering. I was going to pull that clip up so you knew what Roadhouse was about because he pulls his neck out.
Yeah. So I was gonna do a TikTok of just like, does the new Roadhouse have a throat rip? Like that's it. That's all I was gonna talk about. Nothing about the movie. But the
I
movie's
didn't see
too
Patrick Swayze, so I don't think I'm going to watch it.
the movie's too long. It's kind of boring. Like Jake Gyllenhaal, I think he's still Jake Gyllenhaal, so like he's pretty. The problem is his character is playing like this, and I don't like I said I don't know. Clay doesn't want to hear about Roadhouse.
He's like, I don't care.
Yeah. So I don't know if in the original Roadhouse, like Swayze's character, if he's supposed to be like aloof and kind of disconnected. I don't know
I've
what.
never seen the original.
Okay,
Roadhouse
so
either,
that's why I want to watch the original, because in this instance of Roadhouse, the Jake Gyllenhaal is playing like very nonchalant character. Like he doesn't want to get in violence. He's only there to kind of do the gig or whatever of protecting this Roadhouse, right? The villain is one dimensional, very cartoony. Some of the action's kind of good, but yeah, the movie overall is just it's too long. It shouldn't be 2 hours.
Is that Conor McGregor that's the villain?
Yeah. No. Well, Conor McGregor works for the villain, so he's like the
okay.
final boss. Though he makes a lot of interesting choices. He's not a very good actor, unfortunately. Like, I feel like there was too much attention on his role, for him to like if this was like his fourth or fifth movie, maybe he'd have a little bit more of a grasp on it.
Yeah.
If you want to see his butt, there's a lot of Conor McGregor butt on this movie. I don't know why. But it's unfortunate. I really wanted to enjoy it, but it did make me. I'm gonna go watch the original Roadhouse because I want to see what it is it good, or is it people just thinking like remembering when they watched it when they were younger? Like, I'm sure it's fun. Patrick Swayze's great. Like,
I will probably try to watch the original Roadhouse before I try to watch Aquaman 2. I'll just be honest there. Also, when you said final boss,
I feel like when I checked in midweek, you guys were not very excited about Aquaman 2.
I'd forgotten that we were supposed to watch it.
Yeah, no, I was like, we're excited about X-Men. Let's do that instead.
I was gonna say real quick, but I was gonna pivot off your final boss. Have you seen the? We're gonna do a quick wrestling minute while Clay's gone.
Let's do it.
Have you seen the Rock's new entrance? With all the lightning, makes me think he really misses the Black Adam character.
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder if they play in this. Like, it almost feels it's so weird because that was instantly my first thought when all the lightning struck. Just like Black Adam.
If he doesn't come in floating around at WrestleMania, you know how in Black Adam he never walked anywhere; he was just kind of floating.
Yeah. Instead of doing like the Shawn Michaels, it's just like two wires like on either side and he just floats down.
Do you remember that WrestleMania where it was a really long, or maybe it was a Royal Rumble? I don't know. It was a really long runway. The Undertaker just kind of came out of the middle of the ramp and then floated his way because they had like smoke everywhere, so they probably had him on like a little dolly or something.
Yeah,
he just kind of floated his way to the ring. They should do that for The Rock.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Some wire work, some smoke. It's gonna be the main event. So it's probably gonna be pretty dark. But yeah, I would love to see that. All that being said, the segment last night. Have you seen SmackDown?
Yeah, I watched SmackDown.
It was like the end of the whole show was pretty good. Like I think I like all the storylines. Some of the tag team stuff, it's confusing because I thought there were supposed to be 6 teams, but they're doing like an internal bracket in SmackDown. I don't know. It doesn't make sense, but
yeah, I didn't get it.
Whatever. But the main event stuff is great. Like Roman and Cody talking at each other.
I felt that it was a little awkward because they cut like I don't know if this was planned or whatever. So they have Roman going back up the ramp. And then there's a lady that yells something, but again, because WWE has terrible like sound cuts, like it just cuts the sound for like ever, and then they
Yeah.
just start playing Roman's music, which made me wonder if they were playing it just to keep the crowd sound out, or
There were definitely
they were
somebody
actually
definitely
playing
said
it.
something they shouldn't have. Yeah.
Yeah, and then but then the rest of the bloodline comes out and they're creeping around, and then you see Seth and Jay come out, and then the music just automatically switches, and I'm just like, what
I
is
thought
that?
the funniest thing was that Roman snapped, but the cameras
Yeah.
didn't cut anywhere. They just stayed on him. So like even though those other two guys were approaching, like you didn't know what the fuck was going on because you're still just watching Roman with his hand up like this instead of like cutting to Solo or Jimmy. But
Yeah.
either way, I liked it.
And Seth
I'm
Rollins,
pretty excited.
after like 4 days of hearing about how queer coded X-Men 97 is, and then seeing Seth Rollins in like what his get up was, and I was just like, oh, it's like an X-Men 97 like costume.
Yeah, it's like
that he's
people
wearing.
did not watch stuff in the 90s of like how popular crop tops just happened to be and
Right.
like
Mesh
shirtless,
crop
like
tops.
cut off shirts and stuff, like especially if you were Jack like Gambit is, like you'd probably be flaunting it all over the place.
Go back and look at those NBA shorts in the 80s. Come
Right.
on.
I would love to show off a 6-pack. I just have like a 1-pack that hangs over.
Listen, if I really try hard enough, a lot of my shirts become crop tops when I lift up my arms. So
And I wouldn't even have a 6-pack because I have so many surgery scars. So it would just be like a jigsaw puzzle.
I thought they use lasers now.
Oh, I had a robot that. So I have a pyloric stenosis scar from when I was 18 months old. That's still very prevalent. Then I had last year when I had kidney cancer, they had a robot do 5 incisions on me, and those are starting to fade away. So like I just have a few scars from that.
Oh shit! The robots are the future, man.
No, fuck the robot. So that when the robots go in and then they cut out your kidney and stuff, there is like a gas or air that is created in your body that has to work itself up through your shoulder, and that's what hurt the most. The next 24 hours after the surgery, I was just like in so much pain trying to wait for that to.
Oh man, I don't even know how that works its way up to your shoulder.
Well, I'm assuming if they take out 15% of my kidney, then there's this air gap that just has to work its way out. But they said it works its
like
way
you gotta
out.
fill in, like the pressure just gotta push all that empty space out.
I guess I would rather it have been an apocalyptic fart, but Jesus, my shoulder hurt.
If you're a doctor and you're watching this, let us know in the comments. and we're sorry about everything else. All right. Well, that was our wrestling few minutes since Clay stepped away. We took the time.
I want y'all to try to get me into wrestling. Like I want to be able to watch a wrestling episode and understand it.
I say just watch WrestleMania this year because say what you will about WWE because there's a lot to say about WWE. They do a really good job of like the synopsis of like what led us up to here. Their package, the promo package, are really good. Like very like. You know how Marvel has that summary page at the beginning of some of their comics?
Yeah.
That they do that very well. Like even if that's your first match, you'll feel like the hype of them being built up.
Yeah, because I think I've told this story. I tried to get into wrestling and I went over to my buddy Rob's house where he had a bunch of wrestling fans. One guy was so passionate that there was almost a fist fight over wrestling while I was just like, okay, but what's happening in the story? I don't understand. And they were just like, Argh!
I definitely don't watch wrestling with like a lot of other people. I feel like wrestling's not a team sport.
But
because we all
those great moments, don't you have someone to go, holy shit, they did the thing?
Do you have Twitter? I just put it on Twitter, and then So
we could hop on live stream and all watch WrestleMania.
That might be fun.
Okay.
Although, man,
yeah, I would do that.
It's 2 nights and it's 3 to 4 hours each day. So I want to give you the time commitments before you
because
say. I'll do
it's
that.
kind of like I don't really understand. Like when I watched Eras, like here's my wrestling Taylor Swift comparison, and like they'd bring out a green piano and the fans go crazy, like they know what that shit is, and I'm sitting there going, I'm like, yeah, what does it mean? What does it mean?
WWE would give you a minute video on that green piano and how it got there.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
All right, so that's enough.
Previously on.
Yeah, previously on. I will definitely watch the original Roadhouse to see if it's good or if it's just people like nostalgia, or if but compared to this, it's gonna be good. So
Now the Roadhouse talk has made me it reminded me of I'm going to go back on something I said in a previous episode where I was really upset about the Fall Guy not using the remake for the Fall Guy television show, not using the original sound, the theme song for the music.
I made a video with it, so it's on the channel. Check it out.
I will, and everybody watching should as well.
They did. People love it. It's one of the really well viewed video. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
But Gosling has won me over, and I'm excited about this movie now.
Me too. So. That highlighter yellow outfit that he's wearing in the latest trailer. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Jeff, you had a few more comics, and then we'll try to touch on real quick on like the other stuff that's not comics.
I read issue number 4 of Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees.
I haven't read that yet.
I don't want to spoil anything for you, but it's great. I can't talk about it at all.
Sorry, Jeff. I know. I usually read that one pretty quickly because of the spoilers.
Yeah. I've also read Fish Flies number 5 by Jeff Lemire. I feel like this is gonna. I think it ends next issue, maybe.
God, I still have the first issue and I haven't read it yet.
It's hard to tell because they're like oversized issues, so I don't know how much he's putting in on the.
It feels like it's definitely wrapping up. This is one of my. It took me a bit to get into it, like a couple of issues, but I'm really digging it. It's definitely.
Lemire's art is pretty divisive. I think that's probably the biggest hurdle for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's Again, if you're not into what I will call
it's his own very unique
art.
Yeah.
And then finally, I read Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, number 13. This might be one of my favorite post-apocalyptic kind of.
Is that the Jason Aaron?
Jason Aaron, okay. Yeah. Nick Dragotta.
Nice. What a team! I forgot about that book.
Yeah, it's great. It's definitely worth the read. I feel like that's wrapping up pretty soon too.
And then you watch some stuff, which
I started watching The Bear, which I'd not seen, but within like the first few minutes of seeing Eben Moss Backrack like on screen, like his eyes are so blue, and I was like, that is Ben Grimm the Thing.
It's clobbering time.
Yeah, as soon as I saw his eyes, I was like, oh, I 100% get it. I get that casting now.
And this may be his best role, like in The Bear so far is like unbelievable, but he's so great in Andor too. And his chemistry in Punisher is fantastic.
Yeah. So what did you think of the show though?
Of The Bear? Oh, it's great. I mean, like there's a lot of yelling. I don't.
Yes, I mean, if you've ever worked in a restaurant, you get it. Even if you've never worked at a restaurant like theirs, you get it.
What is y'all's restaurant experience?
Oh, I worked at a restaurant from 16 till I was 24. But I mean, I was an accountant at a restaurant later on after college. But it's still like you got to deal with restaurant shit. If you're in the office, you got to deal with restaurant shit regardless. So,
yeah,
my first job was at Bonanza bussing tables.
Bonanza?
Yeah. Like a TV show?
So old. So old.
The TV show was so successful they had a chain of restaurants.
No, they're two separate things. Bonanza was like a
steakhouse.
It was like a steakhouse.
It was a cheap steakhouse. It wasn't steak and ale, but it wasn't like drive-through. It
Well,
was
I was gonna say it wasn't Steak and Ale, but then I was like, Steak and Ale would probably get lost on Danny too. So I was trying to
So that's exactly what happened. It's like you compared it to two other things that I had no frame reference for. But then again, I don't know, like maybe Ruth's Chris or whatever. Like that's probably more contemporary.
I just remember
Steak and Ale. I think of Steak and Ale as like the Chili's of steak places.
yes,
Okay.
yes, and Bonanza was like the Applebee's.
Yeah,
It's
Bonanza
just
is like the Applebee's of steak places.
Drop your favorite steakhouse in the comments. This is gonna turn into a food channel.
I'm in.
But we can only eat very bland foods now because of health reasons. Like, no, we can't try that. The one chip challenge will definitely kill one of us.
It would be me.
Well, once again, a little porridge challenge. Yeah, let's go. Okay.
An
cool.
oatmeal challenge. I'm here for it.
Right. Oh no, it's too late, guys. Sorry, I don't need after 8 p.m. If I wanna sleep well, I don't want.
Outback. What are you talking about, Leonard Kim?
Crikey, mate. He's just going with the Australian theme from earlier.
Yeah, the theme for the
Hey,
gotta love a bloomin' onion.
Hey, you know what? Ain't nothing wrong with Outback if they cook it right.
Yeah, I've had a good porterhouse there.
When they cook it right, ain't nothing wrong with Outback.
No,
and their bread is really good. The bread they fill you up with at the beginning is really good. It's not Texas Roadhouse. Now that's a roadhouse I like to go back and visit.
There's one bias, but it's always packed.
Oh yeah, no Roadhouse for me now is like I just go pick it up.
Oh,
somebody gave me a Roadhouse.
What?
Yeah, they do pick up. So somebody gave me a gift card to Roadhouse, and I was like, I will never go and eat at a Roadhouse, but I ordered food to go pick up.
Yeah,
and it was such a hot mess when I went to go pick it up.
Oh, and it travels terribly, but it's still pretty good.
I was gonna say it's the worst idea is like, why don't you take a steak that's freshly cooked, put it in some styrofoam, and drive it back home?
I just go for the rolls, Clay. All right, Clay. What you watched a few other things? You want to talk about those real quick before we close out?
This is gonna get really dark. This.
Well, that's the end of the show. Thanks everyone for joining us this week.
I'll start with the one you guys might actually watch, which is Cobweb, because it stars Anthony Starr outside of being Homelander.
Okay.
And it follows a kid who is hearing voices in the wall, and his parents, he's not so sure he's safe with, and they live in this kind of old Gothic beat up house, and the ghost starts to tell the child, I was your sister, but our parents murdered me. And that's where I'm going to let y'all watch it, because if you're watching Anthony Starr play a father, you see Homelander, but if he gets mean, you see him go in that direction.
Does he have his natural hair color in the movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's not a blonde.
But
the bottle blonde.
It gets wild fast, and I really recommend it. It is full on horror that will creep you out.
Is that on Hulu or Shudder?
I think I watched it on Hulu.
Okay.
And I think I also watched this next one on Hulu called Come to Daddy with Elijah Wood. Wood, what? You're shaking your head.
The title is a little sus.
Yeah. Well, it's about Elijah Wood, who has grown up without his father, but his father has reached out and said, hey, will you come visit me? And so he comes to visit his dad, who has basically abandoned him as a kid. And it escalates from there. I'm just going to say it's great Elijah Wood. It's not what you think it is. And the horror is really good. The horror is really good. Enter the Void is the next film I watched that I can't recommend for everyone. It will freak you the fuck out. It is a one-time watch, along with like movies like Hereditary, Midsommar, movies that really creep you out. Enter the Void is that. It is disturbing, and the horror is high and intense. I don't know if I can recommend this to normies. If you're a hardcore horror fan, check out Enter the Void, but it will break your mind. I mean, I don't know any other way without like kind of spoiling it a little bit, because if I get into it, it's just so intense. But it's a guy who is meeting his sister that they've been separated since they were kids. They're in, I believe, in Hong Kong, and he uses drugs a lot, and so he starts to smoke DMT, and they hint at that when you smoke DMT, that life slows down. Well, when he smokes it, he gets shot. So he lives through that death for a very long time, and he goes outside his body and experiences the world. And it's horrific.
That concept is a really cool. That's a really cool death in Bleach, in the anime Bleach.
Oh, and it's a really cool death in Dread.
Oh yeah. Oh, speaking of Bleach, have you kept reading Dragon Ball?
Yes, actually, I finished volume 2 and 3, but I decided to just switch up, and they have like 7 volumes at the library, so I picked up the shows to just watch.
Oh, nice. Okay. Sorry to derail.
I was going to. Well, can I continue to derail?
Sure, I guess.
Clay was talking about horror movies. What is your guys' opinion on what is that horror movie with that use the AI for the? It's the David. It's the late night horror movie, late night talk show movie.
Oh yeah.
I was trying to find the title of it.
Night with the Devil, I think.
Yes,
Night with the Devil or something like that.
Night with the Devil.
They use 3 AI, at least 3 AI images or whatever. The only reason I ask is because there's like a full on like there seems to be a bubbling like we need to boycott this movie, and maybe I'm just old. But I'm just like, I feel like that could have some unintended consequences.
Here's what I think, and we were talking a little bit around in our Discord, because I think I posted I see what you guys are saying, that we shouldn't take it out on an indie film. Unfortunately, this is the only way Hollywood is going to learn, because the next day there was an article about OpenAI setting up meetings. Even though they saw the backlash, they were setting up meetings with studios and filmmakers, like the big studios and big filmmakers. So I think, unfortunately, the only way that anything happens in this country is if we kill things off, like as soon as they come up. We have to stop it. And it's unfortunate that a small film like this has to take the brunt of it.
Yeah.
But an example needs to be set, and the studios need to. I'll let you guys rebuttal. This is just kind of the way I feel about it, from what I've seen online. Like, studios need to learn that we're not even gonna let the small shit slide by, because you give them an inch, they take a mile. So I will let you guys talk.
Well, I was gonna say, my biggest fear is that these executives are not the smartest, sharpest tacks and whatever. So they're going to lose like that. The problem is that they're going to learn the wrong, like they always do. They're going to learn the wrong things. So they will never equate that this movie is not being seen because of an AI boycott. They're just going to be like, oh, look, see, smaller budget movies don't make money. Or that kind of thing. And they're just going to be like, in the next whatever that comes around that makes $1 billion, they're just going to be like, that's what we need to funnel our money into. And so my biggest fear is that they're going to learn the wrong lesson. They're not going to pick it up. Just like Kellogg's is like, oh, we need to give all our, after the Kellogg CEO was just like, eat breakfast for dinner, and there's this big Kellogg boycott now. I feel like they still haven't learned their lesson, because now you see them like trying to partner up. Like they just pulled their Kellogg name off of the boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
Off the print, like they're not learning their lesson. Yeah, they're just rebranding and they're not learning the lesson.
And so I'm just to the Kellogg CEO, like, I eat cereal for dinner because I want to and it's fun, not because it's my only resort. Okay, so
or not because you told me to.
Yeah. Back to the film, though.
I will say, as far as the film and the art go, what I've read is that it's only for 3 images. That it was AI created, and then edited by their art team, which I understand is a 3-person art team that helped edit those, and that was all it was. And I feel like if you have editors that are also manipulating the art, they're the artist because they're creating the final product. So if you already have an art team and you're paying them, and maybe they're manipulating art they've created within the AI, the real question is where does the original art start from? Do they have a database of a particular artist?
Well, this one they did not, right? This one is not like they sourced their own AI. Like with Secret Invasion, there was a whole hullabaloo of that, and even that's a gray area because for Secret Invasion, they only artists fed art into the AI model. It wasn't just scrapping from everywhere in the internet. Where in this one, from what I've seen in all the articles so far, they had like the director or the team hasn't really said anything other to make me believe that they sourced their own art. This is just like they scraped off from the original images from everywhere on the internet. And then they made some, whatever editorial changes or whatever. So, but like if you already have an art team that's only 3 images, why not just have your art team create those images from scratch? Like it takes it. One thing I was seeing was somebody that is they're a graphic designer. They're like, it takes a long time for you to learn a specific aesthetic, right? Like
Right.
they put a lot of work into a specific aesthetic, and this movie was going for a very specific aesthetic with that, the late night, I think it's 70s in the
70s.
film, right?
Yeah.
So like that takes time to learn, and it costs them money to like learn and train in that skill. So like even just those images, like I said, I think that was the big issue, that they grabbed it from like the world, like the main, what do you call it? Yeah, the open source AI that just stealing everyone's work. And then even if they edited, like the original part still came from there. So I think that's why a lot of people are upset. And look, if you watch the film, like I don't have anything against you. I'm like, people can differ in different things. Just personally, I just feel like, yeah, that's just something that we kind of have to halt. Like I'll probably eventually watch the film when it's on somewhere that I could just watch it without contributing money to it, right? Because that's the only thing that these studios understand, like the dollar and how and even like Jeff said, they may not fully understand, like they may miss the point. So, but yeah, I
mean, yeah, I do understand, like they're pulling from whatever's available on the internet. So that's kind of a touchy subject, because what images are you using that aren't yours to come up with this? So yeah, that is a big problem.
You know the other thing that is weird to me, that after all this backlash, like I know it's a small film, but why didn't you just say like, oh, we fucked up. Now I've hired an artist to make us 3 different screenshots, and now we have a place in the film. Or like, oh, we edit them out of it. Like, why not just, yeah, I don't know. It feels weird that they said, yeah, that's what we did, but they never said like, oh, we messed up and now we're doing something about it. That's the part that's still like I said, it's a little iffy. But even there's an interview with David Desmalchin where he talks about it. I haven't seen the whole thing, so I don't want to put any words in his mouth. But I haven't seen anybody from the production of the film go back and just at least say, yeah, we fucked up or anything like that.
Okay. Well, the last note I'll make is I use AI on my blog, or I use ChatGPT to write my articles, because what I'm doing is I'm writing articles, or I'm having AI write the article about my Agent Orange poisoning that I've gone through. And then I pulled the facts from the internet and link them within that, so that I don't have to take the time to write the article. Because not only is it takes time to write a good, well thought out piece, but it's also like very, it's very personal. So researching all this stuff that's happened to me, and don't bark, Luna. My dog's like barking and the door's open. Is I would have Chat GPT I would give it an angle to write on, like, why can't I get VA help? Right. And so it writes the whole article for me, and then I plug in the legislation, the stories, and the real facts to that. So that's how I use it.
I think the difference is that you're using it as a resource, but you're not saying write me an article in the style of this specific person,
Yeah.
right? Or write me an article as if it was this time and place. You're just using it for fact. You're putting in there probably. I mean, if the way I kind of use it too for some stuff that like reviews and stuff, like I'll write in what I want to say. Like this is what I thought of the movie. Here's all the bullet points I want you to touch on. It just fills in the rest of like putting it in a structure that makes sense. And even then, you really got to proofread the shit out of AI.
Yeah, you do.
So I think that's a little different.
Okay. Well, I just
and
wasn't
yeah.
sure like where your boundary was because it's either like
no, because
AI or no AI.
yeah, I don't like I said. I mean we've talked in the past that I think it could be a great tool.
Yeah.
But you don't want to cut out the human element from it, which I think it feels like when you replace artists work with your own art, even the whole thing. Like I haven't seen a follow up, but people were claiming that Andres Sorrentino used AR art in one of the Batman books that he recently did.
I saw that too.
That's the only thing I saw. I haven't seen a follow up from DC or like DC said they were investigating. I don't know what they. But even then, like I wouldn't buy, even if it's Batman, I wouldn't buy an AI generated book because
I wouldn't either.
I'm not buying the book because I like I can make my own pictures of Batman on AI if I want to, right? I want to see what the creative team is putting behind it. So great derailment, Jeff. We went in a darker direction, but a different. I think Clay had intended to take us on this dark road. So, but it's good. I'm glad we had this discussion because I think it's important to at least talk about it for sure to let people understand. But yeah,
so many angles we're coming from on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am with Danny a little bit on the like just in the midst of a production when you're like, oh, we're gonna need X, Y, and Z. Why wouldn't you just go to your art team and say, give us this X, Y, and Z? Now, if the art team decides to go on and they're like, oh, we're super busy, we need a little bit of help or whatever, let's just feed this into the AI machine and then we'll work on it from there. Like for me, I'm just like, I guess, I don't know. I've seen like for an indie film, is that okay? When there are people like, this is not an indie film or whatever, but I'm like,
yeah.
The
scary companies are like Disney. Like when Disney used
that's
the AI opening for Secret Invasion, and really, who are the people who've drawn Skrulls? Just Marvel work for hire artists. Then that almost adds something to when someone is hired for work for hire and their art is used outside of that page. It seems like they should be paid for it.
Right.
Period. Yeah. And anyone who's worked for Marvel has created that style. So if you said, I want to see, hey, give me a live action Thor drawn, but done in the style of Walt Simonson, because he's that guy who has that style.
Right.
That's the shit that's bad. And I could easily see Disney doing it.
So yeah, because it's cheap and it doesn't require you to deal or pay.
Yeah, because they quote own the art, but not the person.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll bring in an expert lawyer in copyright law next episode. But
tell us
Clay, were you done with your stuff that you were talking about?
Yeah. I mean, I know we're gone long. I just had some stuff if we just had time.
No, I think we're gonna go to recommendations, just to kind of close out the show.
Sure.
So, okay, I can go first. From the team that gave us Superman Space Age, Mark Russell and what's his name? Michael Allred.
Mike Allred.
We have Batman Dark Age by the same team, comes out this week, book 1. I think these are going to be 3 really like beefy books like last time, so I'm kind of excited to get into this because I hope this is kind of a sort of a continuation of the Space Age book from Superman, because that was really fun. And I'm sure Josh, this would have been probably his pick too if he had gone through his pull list. So
I've got the Superman book from the library sitting on my nightstand to read.
Oh, nice. There you go. Time to move it up the queue.
Yeah, that's good. That Superman book is good.
Yeah. Jeff, what do you got?
Gosh, I didn't plan this far ahead. Go watch Josie and the
It's in the
Pussycats,
notes.
the movie. It's the first DVD I ever bought. The soundtrack is awesome. Babyface was a producer on the soundtrack, who also makes a cameo in the movie.
I think Donald Faison's like a boy. He's part of
He's
the boy
a boy
band.
band
Really
with
funny.
Seth Green and
Seth
Breckenmeyer.
Green. Yeah. And then the fourth guy who nobody ever remembers.
Yeah,
Parker Posey's in it. Yeah, it's
He's
it's
a queen.
It's a great go watch that.
Okay, cool. Clay.
I talked about it earlier. Faint of Heart. It was just a lucky chance that this came across a Half Price Books, and I got a copy. And I read it one sitting. It's a beautiful story about art and love.
Is it the whole book then? The whole book is just not colored.
Yeah, it's just not colored because it was an advanced copy. But even in black and white, it's beautiful. They the first few pages are in color, I guess, to give you an idea of what it looks like, and it almost looks like John J. Muth. People may know his art from like Moonshadow. But yeah, it's very much like in that style when it gets like kind of dreamy like.
Nice.
But the black and white still kind of pays off pretty well. Even in some of the color scenes, you can see there's just a little bit of color added. And to me, that gives it more, because I'm curious to see the color version because it has a Pleasantville style to the story. So do they use color in the same sense?
From the cover, it looked like a lot of the color was a big part of the story as far as like, like she's in color because she still has her heart maybe, but all the other hearts are in kind of black and white.
Yeah, so again, like this is an early copy, so I'm gonna try to track down like the published copy. But like I said, like probably one of my books of the year already. I really love this.
Yeah, I'll look for it next time when I go to Barnes and Noble to pick up Becky Lynch's new book on The Man. I think Jeff is frozen.
Yeah, I think he is too.
Okay. Sorry we didn't get to do. If you're still listening, Jeff, sorry we didn't get to do the Doctor Who trailer. Maybe we'll do it next week when Josh is back. He likes Doctor Who as well. So, all right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The most important thing in life will always be
El Bebo.
Simon Sinner, get the fuck out.